think what was the trend right before AI was big data and having a data scientist. So I'm curious, is you get the data already there? Do you need a data scientist there to help out to a certain point, or do you not need them because now you have AI that's going to replace that data scientist?
Being able to emphasize its role in augmenting rather than replacing human jobs is crucial. How can we make everyone more efficient, better decisions, better quality data? I think that's really important. So really what they've found is, and their insights have led to, or found that AI insights have generally led to significant cost saving, creating opportunities for businesses to hire more efficiently and also enhance their overall performance. I think this really highlights AI's transformative potential to drive productivity gains. And this is by obviously augmenting human capabilities rather than replacing roles, which is really underpins their point of not really affecting the sort of unemployment rate from that. So one interesting point that they do say is, after all, the advent of the calendar didn't make anyone redundant, and the Kindle hasn't obliterated publishing. So true. And I think, again, it applies to specific companies. I think when we look at some of the takeaways, we'll probably highlight that. There was also a really nice quote that was from Theo Blackwell, MBE, London's Chief Digital Officer from Greater London Authority. And I found it interesting. He says, successful AI goes hand in hand with the key tenets of the digital revolution: understanding user needs, continuous improvement, organizational change, and trust. I thought those were some really good points, because it's always got to come down to our sort of core UX, and what are the user's needs, and how can we drive that innovation, and how can we fundamentally change processes in organizations and build trust through that to have these kind of refined processes that allow us to output better software and innovative products. So those are pretty interesting kind of points in that statement. And then kind of going on to, I think, something broader from that, and what they were referring to just in the differences. So having those clients in the US and the UK, they were really highlighting that countries like the UK are far too conservative with their approach to AI. So I think their approach has been very much, whoa, let's take a step back and let's do this cautiously. And the disparity between that approach and the US, which is very much like, yes, this is an opportunity, we can improve our products, let's just grab it and jump in. Just really saying that it highlights the needs for a more proactive UK approach, getting, for countries that are risk averse to move beyond that risk aversion and kind of embrace the opportunities that AI presents to them, and not really fall behind the global stage, which is a good point. It's interesting to see the different approaches based on kind of geographic location and how a country may advance with that technology.
Yeah, I'm curious because if you take China, India, some of these other countries where, they've got obviously a lot of tech on their side, a lot of engineering, they're going to embrace new tech to get that, extra leg up, which I know they are considerably, but you also have a lot of content generation that's probably being done now, but also customer service is also outsourced to these countries as well. Does that scare them from that side of things, where they're going to lose a lot of market share to AI on that side of the fence? But then with tech, they're going to accelerate, especially with people that are maybe not as good, but they'll be able to at least set the bar a little bit higher because they'll be able to be a little bit more efficient. But again, when that bar gets raised on one side, it also on developers and tech people on our side also will utilize the same thing. So it's almost like it's a null advantage.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it is, and I guess those are all the areas that it will be shaped. If we look at the takeaways that AI that they've put forward, is that large businesses, especially those that have a lot of data, they obviously stand to gain the most from embracing AI. So, you think a lot of their clients would be customers who have that, and the processes can really be improved and they can leverage that data. If you look at their specific products like I think one was supervised AI, where they sort of specifically trained AI machine learning on companies' data to kind of on companies' data to surface good insights. So it's all
Hmm.
those that can probably grow in the market versus a lot of the sectors like customer success. And like it's a good point mentioning India has got a massive advantage there and a good piece of the market. But if that goes to AI, then yeah, what does happen? How can they
Hmm.
shift and not suffer large job losses as well?
Yeah. Are those all the points that you have for the article,
Yeah, a couple
or pretty
more. I
much?
think
Okay.
I think what they sort of some of the other takeaways were building trust in AI is crucial to wider adoption, which makes sense.
Hmm.
I mean, just from what we've seen with generative AI and hallucinations and a lot of bad publicity that may go around that and the fear that that would drive, it's really identifying what your business needs and how that can be as controlled as possible and as accurate as possible. And there's
Hmm.
so many frameworks even that are dealing with Gen AI now that enable you to keep a much tighter hold on what is being generated and get a confidence kind of rating in that as well. So other things were they say to kind of build this trust. It's obviously going to require things like transparent communication about AI's capabilities and limitations, which is a very good point from what we've seen in our work with AI. You do need to say, look, this is where it's going to be strong and this is where it's weak. And how can we harness the strengths and protect ourselves, like mitigate the risks from those limitations? The
Hmm.
other one is stakeholder involvement in the development and deployment of AI systems. So that's obviously crucial. It's this coming back to that point earlier about it being organizational change as well. I think we really have to not discount that a lot of this change is through those engagement with those stakeholders and the process changes and the workflow changes and everyone understanding what AI is capable and isn't capable of. And then obviously the next one that they mentioned was adherence to ethical guidelines. So, that's a big one that we've talked about on a few of the AI podcasts. But, removing the biases and, the skewed data and actually getting good solid data to, ensure that you're getting decisions based on those ethical guidelines.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, last few points there was kind of highlighting, I think, successful and familiar AI implementations, which is probably something they've done really well, and all the experience they have, and being able to emphasize its role in augmenting rather than replacing human jobs is crucial. That approach, should I say, to really say, well, how can we make everyone more efficient, better decisions, better quality data? I think that's really important. And then round that point on ethical AI, there needs to be the trust, transparency, and ethical decision making to sort of guide that AI deployment to ensure it contributes positively to business outcomes. And obviously, then looking beyond that at a macro scale, kind of society at large as well. So I think
Hmm.
overall some good points. And I think when we were chatting about it before, Makoto, you were saying, they've obviously got their biases as well, and
Yeah,
they're
there's
dealing with
definitely.
specific clients.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. We love to know what biases are involved when you're designing products, but definitely for the article, they're going to have their commercial interest bias because they're trying to push that, so everything seems like it's positive. It's the, what is it, the survivorship bias, where all their clients seem to be not laying off, but that's just their
Mm,
clients, because I
mm,
think I've seen articles on Amazon. They're talking about like, oh yeah, we're gonna lay off people. I think Salesforce and a few others have seen that, oh, we're directly laying off people because of AI.
mm,
So whether or not those are articles that I've seen, and
mm,
how much was affected, I can't recall. But I think that's also, again, that describes the survivorship bias, but then also it's industry specific bias too. Like those specific industries that they're in, maybe they have
mm,
a large enough team and a big enough cushion or budget to say, yeah, we can just keep people until we figure out how to actually replace them. So
mm,
for them, it's expensive to fire full-time employees, so let's just keep them around since we're doing okay as a
mm,
company.
mm,
But other companies that are much more lean, they can't, they're going to have to sacrifice something.
mm.
And I think also as well, I almost see this as how UX, how it started off with, I think Apple really pushing this as a discipline and as a
Mm,
separate team and a part of the organization where
mm,
it's so important to have some team or some specific people involved with just UX. And so same
yeah,
with the AI,
absolutely.
it's maybe that's where you have to have this. It's part of your digital transformation. So it was, they implemented UX processes to really be user centric. Now to be AI centric, but still
Mm,
involve your user, you have to have these specialized people that know exactly how to implement it, how to integrate it, how to utilize what's out there. And you have an individual that is an expert on that on your team.
mm,
So your product owner is leading, development, UX, business, and now AI
mm,
as part of that,
mm,
specialty and or that little mini SWAT team. So I see that
mm.
being a part of that digital transformation of companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. I mean, it's fascinating to see how it's progressing, and I think these looking at these kind of use cases or case studies, should I say, it is very much though. I feel you've got bigger companies. They could take more market share. They've got that. Again, one of the takeaways I mentioned. They've got that data that they can then
Mhm.
surface so much value from it by traditionally having a team of people that are manually trying to make those connections. It can now something can fully comprehend that large data set and pull out all the really valuable pieces. So I guess it is a case of if you've got market share to take, then it's going to be really good to you're going to be able to scale well and take more market share with the team you've got,
Mhm.
and that's a great advantage.
I think I think what was the trend right before AI was big data and having a data
Mm,
scientist, having those type of
mm,
people on your team. So I'm curious is obviously if they have AI under their tool belt, they know how to integrate that. That would make them pretty valuable. But
mm.
is that something where you get the data already there? Do you need a data scientist there to help out to a certain point, or do you not need them because now you have AI that's going to replace that data scientist?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I wonder whether it's a
Yeah.
case of those data scientists now need to build maybe they won't be interpreting as much. The AI may make it a lot easier to interpret that data, but maybe
Mm.
their role then moves to designing the systems and making sure that the
Hmm.
machine learning is surfacing the correct data and actually more of a development role than a hands-on interpretive role.
Yeah. We're talking about like the industries affected because there's definitely more industries that are definitely affected where you could replace people first, other than
Mm,
as a helping hand for them. Or we've talked about in the past where it's obviously the customer service industry, where, that's something that could be the first line of defense.
mm,
But, as you start looking at, was it like from media creation, content creation to robotics,
mm.
obviously
Data
robo
capture, I
taxis.
think we've
Yeah.
we've kind of brought that up as well. That's a
Yeah.
field that's going to be affected as well.
But the interaction with how that AI is going to be, that's very important. It's from something that you're trying to integrate that's not going to face any customers. It's just analyzing what's there, but then the output is going to be something that customers see. So if it's a
Mm,
robot assembling something or doing physical tasks to something that is like taking data and analyzing it and presenting it to somebody, and is that presenting it to a user that's highly technical or presenting that to a user that's not highly technical,
mm,
that's going to be a significant difference in how that is implemented and what your skill set should be in within your
agreed.
company and organization.
Mm,
So I think there's still going to be a good amount of variety there. But
mm,
yeah, like, I mean, what's the future? Obviously legal has been a big thing,
mm.
analyzing.
Medical as well.
Yeah, medical.
They're saying how I think what is it? OpenAI has now said their agents should be released next year. Which then if you think there's specific agents to do biomedical research or
Hmm.
how much more efficient is each person going to be,
Yeah.
and are we going to see specializations in fields where you're working with those agents, and there's much more their medical advancements or their legal processes is sped up,
Yeah.
or what's that going to look like. And I think, coming back to we probably mentioned it before, eventually the calculator as well was,
Yeah.
just hilarious because they're like, no, no, this is going to disrupt everything. People are out of the jobs for manual addition, and then things, are shaped differently, and they're new. They're a lot of careers are made redundant, and they're new
Hmm.
ones that new career paths and new job opportunities. So I think
Yeah.
that'll probably
I
be the
think it's like
case.
accountants with Excel spreadsheets. Right before Excel came out, I mean, there had to be
Mm.
accountants like, "Oh my God, we're going to be obsolete," but no, that didn't happen. So it's just
Yeah.
another step in being much more efficient and working faster. But you still have to know what you're doing to a point.
Exactly. So I think
So
that's
yeah,
that's probably what it is. I mean, I think we can take that statement. We started off with a pinch of salt. So,
yeah,
automation, analytics, a lot of good points, but yeah, they're in a specific area. And I think they're looking at the bright side. There definitely will be kind of job losses from it, but hopefully things shift and balance out as we've been
yeah,
through a lot of times. And they always
yeah,
kind of
and
find that equilibrium.
yeah, and again, this is right before, it's the 1010 event for Tesla, their highly anticipated robo taxi. They use AI obviously for their self-driving. So what industries will that affect? And obviously, hopefully it's not this is we're going to have it, but we're not going to have it for 3 more years type of thing event. It may be, but just knowing the amount of car accidents that are happening because of people texting and driving, it just seems to be going
Mm,
up and getting worse. And so
mm,
you disrupt that, or you help people with that, you disrupt Uber, you disrupt, obviously taxis have been disrupted by Uber, but now Uber, if they don't jump on,
mm,
they may order a bunch of robo taxis, who knows, and somehow monetize that in some way,
mm,
but that's going to be affected. And then lawyers that make money off of the accidents that happen all the time from this, they're going to be affected. So there's going to be
yeah.
some really interesting shifts in
knock
the
on
environment.
knock on
Yeah.
effects. Yeah, yeah, it is.
So
It's going to be fascinating to, yeah, keep everyone posted on it. We'll keep reporting on it and see what comes.
for sure. Well, I think that's a good time to wrap up this quick episode of
Cool. That was a
AI. And
good chat,
yeah,
Makoto.
for sure. And yeah, tune in for our next talk. Thanks again. Like and subscribe to our channel, and always leave your comments in this section. Let us know if you want to hear any new topics on AI, product, or UX. And with that, I just bid you all farewell and take care. Till next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
All right. Bye.